Pool B. The second stage of the 2022-23 FIDE Women's Candidates Tournament held in Khiva, Uzbekistan, started with 2 draws. GM Alexandra Goryachkina was close to a decisive advantage in her game with GM Alexandra Kosteniuk, while GM Tan Zhangji versus GM Katerina Lagno was about equal all the time. The second game in both matches starts Wednesday, November 30th. The winner of Pool B will play Pool A winner GM Lei Tingji for a chance to challenge Women's World Champion Zhu Wenjin in the next title match, 25 days after Lei secured her spot in the Women's Candidates Final by winning Pool A in Monaco. The fight for the other spot started on Tuesday in the ancient oasis city of Khiva, Uzbekistan, found about 1,500 years ago. It is famous for being the birthplace of the astronomer, historian, and polymath Al-Biruni. Uzbekistan is also the birthplace of some of today's biggest talents in chess, and therefore it's quite fitting that it is now hosting a prestigious FIDE event as part of the World Championship cycle. Whereas 2 Ukrainian participants played in Pool A, FIDE placed the 3 Russian players in Pool B once again. These quarterfinals and semifinals consist of 4-game matches, while the final, to be held in the first quarter of 2023, will be 6 classical games. In case of a tie at the end of each round, a rapid blitz tiebreak will be played. For her first game, Lagno didn't go for the Grunfeld, her usual choice, but played the Queen's Gambit declined instead. As Tan went for the exchange variation, Lagno played an early F6 E8 D6 maneuver, also tried recently by GM Magnus Carlsen at the European Club Cup. Black's whole setup, with the other knight going to A6 and pushing B5, was quite a success, because Tan was too hesitant with countering in the center. I think I had a slight edge after she gave me the light squared bishop, but then I just couldn't find the right way to proceed, said Lagno. Probably I should not have taken on D3. After that I think the position is already equal. Also in the other game, in anti-Berlin Rai Lopez, it was Black who had the better chances. In fact, Goryachkina's advantage was close to -3 in engine evaluation terms on move 34. The direct 34 QH5 threatening to enter on E2 while also keeping the option of 34 B4 and winning the battle for central squares would have been tough to meet for Kosteniuk. I think at some point I started doing something wrong, said Kosteniuk. I was very worried about my position. I think in time trouble I got lucky to exchange everything. Of course I'm not very satisfied with my performance today. GM Shakhriyar Mamedyarov of Azerbaijan and GM Nanad Zagnids of Georgia won all 3 rounds to jump into the sole lead of the 2022 Tata Steel Chess India Open Rapid and 2022 Tata Steel Chess India Women's Rapid, respectively, by a full-point margin at the end of the first day. Mamedyarov was followed by Indian GMs Arjun Aragasi and Nil Sarin, with 2 points each, in a tough day for favorites GM Hikaru Nakamura and GM Wesley So of the US in the open section. In the women's section, Zagnids is trailed by Indian GMs Humpy Canero and Harika Dronavali, as well as Ukrainian GMs Anna Ushanina and Maria Musicik, all on 2 points. The event continues on November 29th. The 4th edition of the Tata Steel Chess India Rapid started off at the iconic National Library of India, India's largest library by volume and public record, with more than 200 years of history. A British-era building with typical charm and standing, the auditorium inside was the venue of the tournament, with special lighting and branding for the event. Mamedyarov played his trademark dynamic chess to outwit all his 3 opponents. In the first 2 games, he exploited uneven play by Indian GMs Gukesh D and SP Sathuraman. He showed his best in the 3rd game against So, where he infused complications by uncorking 9b5. In the opening, an obviously pleased Mamedyaro turned up at a press conference at the end of the day and had pleasant words on the emerging young talents of India. One of the most absorbing games of the day was between two of the pre-tournament favorites and countrymen, Nakamura and So, and they presented the spectators with a great clash. Nakamura lost a pawn in the endgame and put up a tough fight, only to lose the game after a long drawn struggle. The game went on long after the other games had ended, drawing applause from the audience for the quality of the fight. Another nice effort came from Nil, who played a classic set-piece maneuver in the king's Indian defense, where black sacrifices the f-pawn and occupies the dark squares with his pieces, the e5 and f4 squares. But Nil gained these squares even without the necessary pawn sacrifices against GM Vidit Gujarati. The day actually started with the women's event, when the spectators got to see the well-designed playing arena on the stage of the auditorium. Zagnid scored 3 wins to emerge as the only player with a clean score at the end of the day, taking a full point lead. Facing opponents all younger than her by almost 2 decades, she was in varying levels of difficulty in all 3 games. If her play on the day can be defined by any single factor, it can be called staying power. In her post-game interview, she pointed out the position after her Black 17th move against IM Aliwia Kylebasa from the 3rd round. I have ideas here. I have plans. White should stay. You know, it is not easy to stay. She indeed stayed on with grit in all the games, defending 2 difficult endgames with the black pieces against Wim Savitha Shrai and Kylebasa, and a difficult, dynamic position with the white pieces against IM Vishali R. In fact, she almost lost the game against Savitha Shrai, but both the players overlooked a blunder too. Ashanina's sole win came against Kylebasa in the 1st round with black pieces, where she planted her dark bishop on the d4 square, and the rest of her game played by itself. Another important game was between Kosteniuk and GM Anna Muziachik, where the former's sense of danger was acutely felt, especially for a rapid game. In chess, one of the most important principles for strong players is the risk threshold of a player. Such a sense cannot be trained consciously. It always simply flows through the finger for a player of class. Kosteniuk's provocative play, fight back in a seemingly worse position, and defense were instructive. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily chess news.